Y'all, we're making tiramisu. Kinda. Come on. Welcome to Highfalutin Low Carb, the random web series where we find and test the best low carb recipes this crazy internet has to offer. Today, we're tackling low carb tiramisu cake. Stay tuned. All right, guys, low carb tiramisu. Can it be done? Today we're going to find out by testing two recipes for low carb tiramisu cake. That's right, it's a little bit easier, hopefully, than the huge rigmarole of making what we're going to have to do of fresh lady fingers because we don't have low carb lady fingers. But this changes all of that and makes it into an easy to assemble cake. Now the first recipe comes from Carolyn over at All Day I Dream About Food, and this is her recipe for easy keto tiramisu. She has a traditional tiramisu recipe that is rather involved and it is fantastic, but I'm curious how this cake version comes out. And to complement that, we're going to test it against Keto Tiramisu Cake, and this is by The Hungry Elephant over at thehungryelephant.ca. Now before we begin, I need to give a huge thank you to the sponsor of this video, Green Chef. Green Chef is a CCOF certified organic company with meal plans to fit a variety of lifestyles, including Mediterranean, fast and fit, vegan and vegetarian, gluten-free, and for me, keto and paleo. Now, the recipes are usually quick and easy, and there's a step-by-step instruction guide. You get a card with chef tips and photos to sort of guide you along the way. And what's nice is you really learn how to combine flavors and textures that you probably wouldn't have gotten otherwise, that you can then take and use in other dishes that aren't from Green Chef. So this is one of our favorite meals this week. This is the Cajun sausage and veggie skillet. This thing has blackening spices that go on top of yellow squash and tomatoes, roasted red peppers, and then this all is covered in these beautiful Cajun sausages that you slice up, and then you've got a creamy Dijonnaise that's made with avocado mayo. That's what's nice, is a lot of these recipes come with pre-made sauces, and it just saves you a lot of steps. This thing went together in 15 minutes of cooking time, and it's 10 net carbs per serving. So right now, Green Chef is offering you guys another fantastic deal. If you will go to greenchef.com and use code Highfalutin60, you will get 60% off plus free shipping on your first box. And all throughout the month of April, to celebrate Earth Month and show their commitment to sustainability, Green Chef is partnering with the organization One Tree Planted, and for every box they sell, they will plant a tree. So be sure to go to greenchef.com, Highfalutin60, 60% off, free shipping on your first box, and get a tree planted. All right, guys, let's go make some tiramisu. Come on. All right, guys, so let's get started on our first recipe. This again is easy keto tiramisu, and this is by Carolyn over at the website alldayidreamaboutfood.com. Now, she bakes this in a large, she said a rimmed baking sheet, but I don't have, it's got to be 11 by 15. This is an 11 by 15 glass casserole pan, and I've greased that with some butter, as you see, and also lined it with parchment as she requested. It's not metal, but it's as close as I'm going to get. We're actually going to cut this up and fit it into a different cake pan after this thing bakes. Each of these are going to have a couple of components. You've got the cake, you've got the filling, and the coffee syrup. So let's get started on the cakes for both of these. All right, we're going to start with almond flour, and you're going to want to sift all of this. You know what I say, sift, y'all. I know it's cliche at this point, but you got to, because you'll see why. All those clumps. Nut flours, I keep my nut flours in the freezer just for freshness, and they tend to clump more easily that way, but this gets it all out of there. So to this, we're also going to add some granulated sweetener. This is Swerve. It's erythritol-based sweetener. Use whatever you choose that you like. To this, we're going to add some coconut flour. And again, if you're new here, I don't give exact measurements for these recipes. These aren't my recipes. The people that did do the work, they deserve the traffic. So all the recipes are going to be printed here on the screen, and they'll be in a video link below in the description. So just click on those. They deserve the traffic. I'm just here to test the recipes. So if you're not new here, you already know that already. To this, we're going to add some protein powder. She said whey protein or egg white protein, and I had egg white protein, so that's what I'm using. And it is the weirdest texture. If you've ever felt oat fiber, not oatmeal or oat flour, but oat fiber that we often use, it's kind of like that, but also like that weird sand that you had as a kid, that like aquarium sand that didn't get wet. I don't know, it's weird to me, but It serves as a gluten replacement. That's what we're using it for, most likely here. And then to this, we're gonna add quite a bit of baking powder and a little bit of salt. So in all that goes, and I'm just gonna sift this out. Okay, so we've got everything sifted out. I'm also just gonna hit it with a whisk just to make sure everything's sort of incorporated before we go any further. And now we're gonna add in the liquid ingredients to this. So that is going to be some water. If you wanna know how much, check the link down below. Gonna have a little bit of vanilla, and I'm gonna put the vanilla in the eggs and beat it into the eggs so that it helps get it incorporated. So a little bit of pure vanilla extract. Well, it's actually quite a bit of it, truth be told. And our eggs, 3 eggs as you saw. I'm just gonna kind of knock them down a little bit before I throw them into my batter, or what will become my batter, excuse me. And then some melted butter to this. So all this goes in the pool, and we're just gonna stir this a little while and get all this ready to go in the oven. Now, you may want to hit it with a rubber spatula or something just to make sure you don't have anything stuck to the bottom. Sometimes those nut flours like to hang out in the bottom of the bowl and don't get themselves incorporated. So, this is going to go into our prepared baking pan. 18 to 22 minutes until this is ready to go. And then, of course, we're going to need to let it cool. So I'm going to do that now. All this goes in. Let's see how much. It doesn't look like a lot of batter, but with those eggs and all that baking powder, this guy's got room to grow. So this is going to go in 325-degree oven, and I'll check it at about 18 minutes, and I'll let you know at the end how long. And while this is cooking, we're going to get set up for our second recipe, and we've got to bake a couple of cake rounds with those, so we might as well get all the cake work done before we start with our filling. So I'm going to finish this out. I'll meet you back here in just a few minutes to start our second recipe. All right, guys, we're back to start on our second recipe. This is Keto Tiramisu Cake by thehungryelephant.ca. This is gonna go in 2 small round cake pans. The bad part is she says, put it in 2 6-inch cake pans. 6 inches, I don't have that. Or you can use a 7-inch or an 8-inch pan, but that'll be thinner. Well, guess what Wesley has? All I can put my hands on right now are 2 9-inch cake pans. So it's gonna be thinner than her beautiful, thick, gorgeous cake that she shows in her videos, which are fantastic. By the way, check her channel out. So just letting you know where we're going from there. So right now we're going to start with the wet ingredients first. This is sour cream. We're going to start with full fat sour cream and a little bit of brewed coffee. And then lastly, a little bit of vanilla extract. So we're going to mix all this together before we even add our wet stuff in. Get out of the way. And our other cake is about to come out the oven, so if you hear a commotion over there, that's what is happening. So we're gonna whisk this together to get our coffee and our sour cream and our vanilla all combined. And now we need a little bit of bulk, so we're gonna add in some sugar substitute. Again, I have used Swerve. She says to use an erythritol-based sweetener, so that's what I've done here. And again, some melted butter. And lastly, the eggs. 3 eggs here. I don't know why I do this. I just always break them up. All right. Get out of the way. All right, so let's get all this combined, and I have a feeling I've got 3 seconds before my other cake comes out. So there it is. All right, guys, just going to interrupt here. Just wanted to show you my other cake is out of the oven. It's pretty pale, especially in this lighting, but I baked it for this went for about 25 minutes. Took a little bit longer than her sheet pan. So let's finish this up here. This is pretty easy from here. We've got our wet ingredients, and now we just need to add in our dry ingredients. And this, she just uses almond flour and some baking powder. So I'm going to sift that in just to be sure. And while I'm doing that, I wanted to mention something to you. If you don't follow me on social media, Facebook or whatever, you probably haven't heard this, but some of you have. I have a personal channel, Wes Shoemaker, where I've put some in the past, some travel videos or whatever, just a parking place, I guess you could say, for other content. And I have started a cooking series over there called Book Cook. It is not low carb, and I'm not leaving low carb behind. I'll explain everything over there, but it's just given me a little bit of creativity to try some other things in a different spot. So my last video over there was for my grandmother's Pea Pickin Cake. And I'm gonna warn you, it is sweet and it is not low carb, but it's fun and nostalgic, and that's just given me some creativity and letting me spread my wings. So go check it out. I'm gonna put a link here somewhere on one of these up in the corner. I'll also link it down below, but you can just find it under Wes Shoemaker. Just wanted to share that with you. Again, not leaving you, but of course have almost lost 100 pounds on low carb, so I'm not leaving that lifestyle behind, but I just needed to do something a little bit different. So check me out over there if you are so inclined. Otherwise, videos here are gonna keep coming. So we're just gonna mix this together. Now we're gonna put this between our two pans, which are probably too large. I feel bad about that, but so I'm gonna divide this between these two. These are gonna go in the oven, and then from there, I just need to let these cool. All of these have to cool completely on the counter before we even start assembling our actual tiramisu. So I'm gonna do that now. I'm gonna speed this up so you don't have to watch, and I will meet you back here as soon as all this is cooled, and let's build a cake. We're ready to create the filling and the coffee syrup for our first recipe. Again, this is the Keto Tiramisu Cake by All Day I Dream About Food. So we're gonna start with a little bit of brewed espresso here, and I've already let it cool down, and we're gonna add a little bit of dark rum to this. You can do it without the rum, but you definitely need the coffee for it to be, quote, tiramisu, right? Because it's often using a coffee liqueur like Kahlua sometimes, but that is very syrupy, very sugary. So this is our syrup. We're just going to set this to the side. And now this is some mascarpone cheese, mascarpone, however you want to say it. So this is full fat cheese, and we just want to sort of lighten this up before we add our sweetener to it. So I'm going to take a hand mixer and just make this light and fluffy. To this, we're going to add our sweetener. This is Confectioner's erythritol. I used a Swerve product. You can use whatever you want, but it needs to be Confectioner's so you don't have that gritty, granulated taste. And then we're going to cream that together, and I'm also going to add in a few tablespoons of our coffee syrup that we've made. She calls for 3 tablespoons. Again, if you want to know exactly how much of all of this, you know where to go. 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to beat this until it's well combined. We can get rid of those, and I'll come right back here. Let's do it. So the second part of our filling is our cream. We're going to take some heavy whipping cream. I'm going to do it in a bowl here with high sides because my mixer throws everything all over the counter. And we're also going to add in a little bit of the remaining Confectioner's sweetener, and just shy of a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So we're going to beat this until soft peaks form. And now from here, we are just going to fold in gently our whipped cream mixture with the sweetener in with our mascarpone cheese, and try to fold that in gently and keep as much of the lift as we can. Maybe do it in batches instead of like I'm doing it here all at once. Sorry, Carolyn, don't get mad at me. So I'm just gonna fold this in, and then we're gonna build this cake. All right, so we're ready to assemble this cake finally. Again, she called for this to be in like a jelly roll pan, 11 by 15, which this is, but it's a glass casserole. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna cut this, pieces of it, to fit into a 9 by 9. I think we're gonna have to do some clever Tetris maybe to get some pieces in there. I'm not sure yet, but she said we might have some cake left over to either discard, or for snacking. So let me try to pull this cake out of here in one. Oh yeah, that's not so bad. Now this is gonna be very greasy on my board here because there's a lot of butter in there. Hold on, let me get this thing out of the way. Phew, okay, so please come off of the parchment. What I'm hoping is that I can just come in here and roughly, I got to wipe my hands off. Holy macaroni. This is gonna be harder than I thought. So we're gonna come in here, get off of there, napkin. Darn, okay. And then roughly, I'm just gonna eyeball this because I just truthfully don't know what else to do here. She said we're gonna have some pieces for snacking, but I don't know how much that's gonna be. So, and again, this is all gonna be covered up in that pan. And as you can see, this is definitely easy tiramisu because the cake is taking a lot of work out, and also we didn't have to make a zabaione. It's just, you know, like a cooked filling. We just use whipped cream and some mascarpone. Y'all, say a little, if you're the praying kind, say a little prayer for me. It's probably an easier way to do this. And you're about to discover just how terrible I am at assembling and decorating a cake. But things ain't got to be real pretty to taste good. So that should go in there. Oh, Wesley, I broke it right in the wrong spot. But it's not going to matter because it's all gone. It's like a trifle, I think. You want it to at least look somewhat like a piece of cake, though. And this would be easier in a, she said 9x9, and she does hers in a metal pan, and it would be easier that way. But so I'm just going to sort of see what I'm doing. I'm just making a little like tiramisu Jenga. Carolyn, I'm so sorry, but I'm excited to taste it. It just might not be the prettiest thing on the block. Okay, so we know we've got a base layer here. So we're gonna use half of our syrup, and you just wanna make sure this is soaked. This is where, you know, tiramisu is kind of a wet cake. You know, it's gotta have some moisture in there, and that's what this is gonna do for us. But you're only going to use half of it because we've got to do another layer here. So that's our first layer. We're going to use half of our tiramisu filling mix, roughly half of it. So I'm just going to put that in here. This, y'all. I love a cake with creamy pudding things in it. Go watch that Pea Pickin Cake. If you don't know what a Pea Pickin Cake is, I told y'all about it just a minute ago. Y'all go over there to that channel and watch that thing, but just be careful. We're going to do a keto version of it later, I promise. I'm just going to finish this out. We're going to do this. Once we do get this layer on, we're going to just repeat everything we just did, and I'm going to speed it up so you don't have to watch it and hear me fuss and cuss. We'll be back here in just a second. Oh, y'all. Okay, I mean, come on here. Look, I've still got a little bit of the coffee liqueur left, so if this is dry, that's why I didn't put enough of that in there. But now to gild the lily, we're going to do a little bit of a cocoa powder dusting on top. With, she also says you can put a little Lily's chocolate, shaved chocolate on top, but whoo, okay. Just sort of has to sit with itself and stew and think about what it's done wrong. No, I'm kidding. But it does need to sort of sit and chill. So I'm going to put this on in the fridge for now, and then get cleaned up here, and we're going to finish up our cake number 2, and we are almost there, guys. We're ready to taste. We're at the home stretch. This is it. We're ready to assemble, and you're going to see my embarrassing attempt to put together this cake. So first of all, we're going to start with some heavy cream. Again, we're going to whip that, she says, into stiff peaks. And I still have the whipping cream from my last little experiment. And this is our mascarpone cheese. I'm gonna use the dirty beaters again. We're gonna add in some vanilla, quite a bit of vanilla. There's no coffee, or espresso, or rum in this one. You know, we put the coffee, the brewed espresso, the brewed coffee in the cake batter. So hopefully that flavor comes through. Add in some of the confectioner's erythritol, confectioner's swerve, and we're gonna beat this until it's creamy, and then I'm gonna fold in the mascarpone with the, that stuff, heavy cream, and I'll be back here when all that's done. You can watch. Okay, so I am really ready to screw all of this up because we started off, first of all, I ain't even got a cake pan. I don't have a cake plate. Can't find mine. So we're just gonna put it on a dinner plate. That's number one terribleness. Number two terribleness is that it was supposed to be in a 6-inch pan, or maybe a 7 or an 8, so I used a 9. And we gotta see if we can get it out of there. So hers, if you go look at her videos and her photos, that she got this big old thing about 11 feet tall, and ours is gonna be thin and wider than it is tall, which kind of probably explains some of us. So it'll eat just as good, as they say. Now, can I get this out of here? Oh, goodness. Sweet, heavenly, please be with me, cake gods. Nothing failed, that's scary. I'm gonna bang this, so let's just see what happens. Didn't release. Remember you guys telling me that if you couldn't get a cake out of a pan, to soak it in warm water. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get some really hot water. I'm gonna soak the bottom of these pans real quick, and I'll be right back. Y'all, it worked. It worked. I put it in some warm water and just the pan, and it loosened up the fat that was holding all of that together. And y'all, that's why I love this community so much. You guys taught me that. Like one of y'all left some comments like 3 years ago, and you just saved my butt today. But you're not going to save how ugly this cake's going to be, because I'm just terrible at that. But this is where hers is all beautiful, and she's like, save some for the sides, because it's supposed to be a big old thick cake, right? That you can ice the sides, but I don't think we're gonna make it to that today. Spread this thin. I've got the other layer over here ready to go. It's on the top. Oh! Y'all didn't see that. Y'all didn't see that. Shh. Talk about it out loud. You didn't see anything. Hold on. Dang, y'all, I did all that and literally tore it up right at the last second. But we're gonna just put a little sprinkle on the top, and yours is gonna be beautiful. I give you permission to make fun of me. This is why, Good Morning America, don't call me to cook on the TV, because things look like that. But I'm gonna clean all this up, and this is going in the fridge too, and I'm gonna give them a couple of hours now, and I will meet you back here, and we're gonna taste these, and we'll go over nutrition and all that stuff. So, yeah, talk to you in a minute. I'll see you back here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, guys, we are back. It's been about 2.5 hours, maybe a little longer. As you can see, both of our cakes look like presentable almost. This is our first cake, and it came out. You can tell the cocoa powder really gets dark in the when it hits that moisture. And then this is the second one here. Again, that should have been a big, round, tall cake, about that tall, and about 6 inches instead of 9 inches in diameter. But here we go. All right, so the first recipe, let's just talk about nutrition. This first recipe, this is the Easy Keto Tiramisu. This is by alldayidreamaboutfood.com. This makes 16 servings. If you get 16 servings out of this, one slice is 336 calories. You've got 8.7 grams of protein, 31 grams of fat. You've got 5.8 total carbs, 2.6 grams of fiber for what works out to be 3.2 grams of net carbs per serving if you get 16 servings out of that. Our second recipe is Keto Tiramisu Cake by The Hungry Elephant, and her recipe makes 12 slices. If you get 12, one slice is 323 calories. You've got 31.5 grams of fat. You've got 6.1 grams of protein, 6.6 grams of total carbs, 4 grams of fiber, which leaves you with 2.6 grams of net carbs per serving. So they're both hovering right around 3 net carbs per serving. So the question is, what do they taste like? Let's go with our first one first. And I'm gonna admit these are gonna be hard to probably get into, but you know me. Ain't looking so ugly now, is it? Okay, hold on. Our first recipe, this is All Day I Dream About Food. It is very cakey, it is soft, it is wet. So creamy. The coffee, y'all, it's like pudding. Really, 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 really good. It is sweet. You definitely feel the cooling from the erythritol. Okay, clean palate. Tell me that doesn't look pretty. Hide my big old head. Y'all, look at that. Can you see that? Okay. This looks like something you'd serve. This one is only almond flour. The other one had coconut flour in it, so I wonder if this is as light. That is really good. Y'all, those were both fantastic. I would be hard pressed to give a winner here. I really liked the texture of the first one, All Day I Dream About Food, a little more, it's a little lighter. That's what that egg protein, egg white powder, sorry, or the whey powder, and the coconut flour kind of gives it a little bit of lift. This is a little less sweet, which I kind of appreciate, and it feels just as rich. I mean, you're not going to go wrong with any one of these. If you have the ingredients for one over the other, just make one of these, y'all. All right, guys, so there you have it. Low carb tiramisu cake. Can it be done? You better believe it. Just find somebody else besides me to decorate the thing. But those were delicious. So I invite you please to go to the links that were down below and be sure to tell them that Wes sent you. I say this every time. These videos are a way for me to maintain my low carb way of eating. Looking in the end of that camera as often as I can helps keep me honest. So I appreciate that you guys have come along for the journey. If you don't follow me on Facebook and Instagram, like I told you, please go find me there. I could talk a little more frequently, a little more freely there. If you haven't seen the Pea Pickin Cake, I know I keep talking about it, but it's on my other channel, Wes Shoemaker. Go over there. There'll be a link up here, and it'll be at the end of this video. Subscribe over there. It lets the algorithm know that YouTube needs to recommend this to other people who might like similar things. I love you guys very much. I need to also thank again my sponsor for this, Green Chef. Please be sure to go to greenchef.com and use the code Highfalutin60. You will get 60% off plus free shipping on your first box. And right now, for Earth Month, they are planting a tree for every single box that they ship and sell. So please go check them out there. Thank you, Green Chef, for sponsoring me. I say it every time, sponsorships aren't why I do this, they're how I do this. Lastly, I need to thank my rock stars, my Patreon members. You're gonna see their names start to scroll, I think over here actually. If you don't know what Patreon is, think of it as the tip jar for the internet. It allows people like you who enjoy what people like me do here on YouTube. You give $1 or $2 a month just to sort of keep the train on the tracks, as it were. So without them, none of this would be possible. So truly, they are my rock stars. All right, guys, I love you. Today is a good day to have a good day. I'll see you soon.